Hi everyone, Craig from the Edge Property Buyers here. Hope you're well. I thought today we'd cover a couple of points on buying property in self-managed super funds. So first of all, setting up a self-managed super fund isn't for everybody. And probably the most important thing you can do is get independent financial advice, whether that's through an accountant who's very familiar with the processes and deals a lot with self-managed super funds, or your financial planner. Can't recommend that enough because, like I said, self-managed super funds, they're not for everyone. They do require a bit of work. There is a bit of regulation there, and you can get into a bit of trouble if you don't follow those regulations. You do get audited every year. You also need to have enough money in there in the first place to justify having a self-managed super fund. Because of the size of the fund, the costs are proportionate or disproportionate. And so, there are varying opinions on what amounts you should have in there, but I would have thought at least, a couple of $100,000. But again, seek independent financial advice. That's not really my department, and we can't give financial advice, so just be aware of that. The other thing with that, with pooling those funds, is you can have up to 4 people within that one self-managed super fund, and they can pool all their super savings that they have for each individual into the one fund, and it's treated as a total amount, which can bring economies of scale when you take into account all the accounting and auditing costs, etc. So again, speak to your financial planner. They're the ones to speak to, or a good accountant who's familiar with self-managed super funds. So that's number one. You can buy residential and commercial property within self-managed super fund. We tend to focus more on the residential side. You can buy the property outright and use all your funds if you wanted to, but I would always suggest having diversification of assets. So you want to make sure that you have enough assets in there to be able to do that, rather than just lumping it all into the one asset class, whether it be property shares, managed funds, etc. So again, get financial advice on that. Really important to diversify whatever you're doing. And it's the same with property. If you're buying property, don't buy 6 properties in the one market, because that's when you find if the market goes sour, you can end up with a bit of strife. So you can borrow money in self-managed super funds. It's a different structure altogether. There's only a limited amount of lenders that do lend into the self-managed super fund market. There's probably only about 4 or 5, I think. You tend to have a higher LVR. Not many would lend below 70% LVR. You need to actually set up when you buy the property, you set up in what they call a bear trust, which makes it a little bit more complicated again. So once again, I'm going to say it again, have a good team about you, whether it's those financial accounting people, but also your legal people, because a lot of people I've found from personal experience and from helping other people buy property within their self-managed super funds, there's always complications around which name the property goes into, and that's incredibly important when buying a property in a self-managed super fund. You can end up paying stamp duty twice if you get it wrong, so really important. So the property actually ends up in the bare trust name when you're borrowing, as opposed to your self-managed super fund name, which could be totally different. And it's really important to get that right and in that name. So the other downside, of course, is interest rates are a little bit higher within lending in self-managed super funds. I think I'm currently paying about 6.5%, opposed to, you could probably get standard mortgages under 4%. So that you need to think about your strategies there. My strategy is to pay it off faster, because obviously the higher interest rates, if we can knock that down as soon as possible, then we've got an asset that's debt-free sooner, and as well as getting the capital growth. So there's lots to think about. Property types are also very important decision to make. You can buy anything, again, your lenders will have restrictions on certain property types in certain areas. Doesn't matter if they're in a self-managed super fund or not, especially in the current market. But there's rules on what you can do when you borrow money in a super fund. You're not allowed to use the money from the loan to renovate, and also even if you do some renovations with your own separate money within the super fund, you need to make sure that you don't change the character of the property. You can upgrade it. Otherwise, If you've only using the money from the loan, you can only do repairs on the property. So really important. Again, these are all the rules you need to be aware of before you get in there. So make sure that you're well aware of what's happening before you jump in, because it can get complicated. So property types we tend to look at the larger land proportion, existing properties, something that doesn't require a lot of upgrade. Ideally if it's an older property, it's had a kitchen bathroom upgrade and doesn't require any major work, or potentially a 10 to 8 to 12 year old house that's all the infrastructure is starting to grow in the area if it was in a new housing estate. But there's also depreciation claims in there as well on the structure itself. So there's plenty of opportunity there. A lot of stuff to think about. Again, seek independent financial advice before you go in. Read up about it. There's plenty of stuff on the internet. We can help answer some questions if you have some. Please don't be scared to give us a call or comment below. If you have any questions about this specific subject, it is pretty complicated. And we're more than willing to help you out. And if we can't help you out, we'll refer you to industry professionals that we know and trust to help you get on the way. So thanks again, guys. Enjoy your day, and we will speak to you soon. Have fun. Bye.